Axios Miami is reporting that there is now a new real estate platform known as Oyssey, which allows home buyers to essentially look into the political makeup of the neighborhoods they're considering moving to or buying a home in. That way, you can politically segregate yourself further. Now, let's get to the details. Here's what the platform looks like, and you'll see the maps that give you a sense. Oh my God, look at those home prices. But it'll show you where the blue areas are, red areas are, where you're likely to be, inundated with Republican neighbors or Democratic neighbors. And so according to this Axios report, this platform estimates political affiliation by using election results, campaign contributions that are made by individuals living in the community, and also licensable commercial data. Now, per the report, tech startup Oyssey, I think that's how you pronounce it, believes social data like age, education, and income demographics is influencing buyers more than the physical conditions of a home. Look, I think area matters more than the home. Like, I'd rather buy, if I had the money, I'd rather buy like the worst home that needs the most work in a really good neighborhood, as opposed to a really nice home in a bad neighborhood, right? I think location really does win over people when it comes to their home purchases. But nonetheless, a former Boston real estate agent, the CEO of this company, says that during the course of a house tour, buyers often shift from asking whether the water heater is leaking to wondering if their neighbors are folks they'd like to invite to dinner someday. And look, I do think it's important to have neighbors that you get along with, but I think you can get along with people who might vote differently from you. And in fact, I think exposure to people who do vote differently from you could be helpful. I think it could, potentially help you understand the other side of the political aisle instead of just buy summaries and fear mongering about what the other side of the political aisle is.
Yep. So, look, on the one hand, I totally get it. And I also understand that people are going to care about the politics and think that that is a legitimate part of their neighborhood. And so, look, let me give you an extreme example, but don't get me wrong, I'm not on this side, right? But so I went to visit a friend in West Virginia many years ago, and he's Jewish, and his next door neighbor was proudly flying a Nazi flag, okay, like a full blown swastika. Like you would have in front of your door, like an American flag, okay? And no one in the neighborhood had objected. It was there for a long time.
Yeah, that's bad.
And now I get it. It's kind of hard to go up to a Nazi and object to something. And I asked my friend, doesn't that make you uncomfortable? He says, no, I just hide that I'm Jewish, right?
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes, and of course, so that's terrible. Now,
okay, but that's not what I was thinking about.
No, I know.
That's
why I prefaced it by saying I'm not even on that side, but I'm giving you an extreme example of why people might care, right?
Yeah.
And you could find extreme examples all over the political spectrum, okay? But overall though, guys, we have to live together. So, and I would say this to the leftists just as much as I say it to the right? So when I went to college, and I'm sure that it still happens to this day, I hope it doesn't happen as much, but I'm not sure. People would segregate based on race at the cafeteria. So I remember being surprised by it because I grew up in a very diverse area. You almost couldn't segregate based on race if you wanted. Oh, there's 2 Indians, 2 Pakistanis, 4 Chinese guys, 3 Koreans. No, we all sat together because a lot of us were immigrants and different races and religions, etc. right? So when I went to college, it was kind of a bit of a culture shock. Okay, so the black students sat there, the white students sat there, some of the Asian students sat there. Some of the Asian students would intermingle. And I was like, attaboy, Asian students. Okay, so the left does that to some degree, right? Because I feel safer here, right? And you're gonna get a lot of that when you get in political affiliations. But then we're segregating based on, and then the right was talking about civil war and the South seceding and all that stuff. Guys, we gotta be a united states of America. If we never talk to each other, if we never live next to each other, if we just keep on hating each other and never even bother finding out what the other person thinks, then we're not gonna have a country left. We're gonna have 2 different groups of people with 2 different cultures, then living in 2 different areas, and just in perpetual misinformation about each other.
Yes, exactly. That's
right?
that's the biggest thing, right? Like, I actually think you do yourself a favor by, venturing out of your political spectrum for a bit and conversing with people who disagree with you. Now, don't get me wrong, if someone is rude, disrespectful, hostile, anything like that, obviously I wouldn't want to have a conversation with a person like that. But there's plenty of people on the right who I disagree with on a whole host of policy issues who are wonderful people. They just have a different perspective, and I'd rather learn about them and who they are and what their values are rather than segregate myself and just buy into media narratives about what the entirety of the right wing is like. It's not a monolith, there are gradations there, much like there are with left wingers as well.
Yeah, and now there's an extra special brand of radical left that's saying that if you even talk to the other side, people start dying. What is that? It's just the most made up thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a form of manipulation, and
right.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, of course. It's like emotional, psychological manipulation. I am the more moral one because I refuse to talk to anyone else. Congratulations on your morality. Real winner morality there. And if you are immoral enough to talk to someone on the other side and think and find out what they're thinking, well then apparently in their like lunatic minds, black people start dying, trans people start dying. I don't know if Muslims die, because this is a little inconvenient because I'm Muslim and I talk to the right wing, and I didn't die, so might be an awkward example, okay? But no, for God's sake, if you're on the left or the right, for God's sake, please talk to each other. And so it doesn't mean you're gonna magically agree, and it doesn't mean that the terrible sides that the both branches have are magically gonna disappear overnight, and that you're gonna have no concerns left about the other side. No, it just means you're gonna know a little bit better, and you're gonna connect as human beings. And by the way, when you connect as human beings, it makes it harder for them to hate you.
100%, exactly.
As much as it makes it difficult for you to hate them.
Yeah. True, this is all true. Some people also want to know data like how many dogs are in the neighborhood. Look, I can get it, I can understand that if barking bothers you or whatever, but I like dogs. Dogs are good.
No, again, guys, you've got to live in humanity, right? So I might not like this or that or the other thing, but if I'm micromanaging, okay, I want this neighborhood to be people just like me, right? Then that's not a neighborhood I want. I want a neighborhood of a guy who's got a loud dog that bothers me, and I want a neighborhood of a guy who disagrees with me, and that's lively and interesting.
I have to ask advice for something. Okay, so the building next to ours, in fact, like their balcony is directly across our bedroom window. We can't open our window anymore because homeboy likes to go to his balcony and smoke pot, which, listen, I am not against pot, let's just put it that way. I even enjoy the smell of pot sometimes. I don't enjoy it all the time though. And so like, what do I do?
Okay, so
what do I do?
That's a different and super interesting question. It is related to this though. So we all have had crazy neighbors, etc., right? Like so the 1-bedroom apartment off of Sunset that I started the Young Turks in,
yeah,
like a rinky-dink place and kind of run down, and there was a gay couple across the courtyard, and it was a concrete courtyard because again rinky-dink, right? And it would anytime anybody was having an argument, the entire complex would hear it, and that couple had an argument like clockwork every Saturday morning. And we all heard it, and it was like if you wanted, you could come over and enjoy the soap opera.
No, that I don't mind. Okay. That I don't mind. There was a lot of fighting in the West Hollywood apartment building that I lived in as well, and it's West Hollywood, which has a big gay population. A lot of people in that building were gay, and I remember there was a lot of fights taking place around the pool, and my favorite line was, "You're just a bitter queen." It was so good.
So yeah, like I was in West Hollywood too, but the fact that they were a gay couple is irrelevant.
Yeah,
it was just that they were a fighting couple.
Yeah.
Right. And so, although it made it a tiny bit funnier, but based on the more imaginative insults that they had.
Yeah, that's what I love. Exactly.
Right. And so, but so that was a downside of living there, because sometimes you get woken up on Saturday freaking morning by their fight, and then other people started fighting with them, screaming into the courtyard, "Will you guys shut up or just break up already?" Right? And stuff. But guys, that's the spice of life, man. You don't want an insipid life, just a totally bland life where you're not bothered by any neighbors or you're not bothered by anything because you live in a freaking bubble, right?
I gotta
look, everything is balance. Because on the other hand, I lived in a place in New York. I mean, you want to talk about run down? Okay, that was one of the top drug corners in America. I found out later when I worked at the U.S. District Attorney's Office. 4 people got shot on that street the year that I lived in it.
Didn't happen. It was all in your imagination.
Sure. And we would hear the sound of gunfire so often at night that I was positive they were selling guns from the middle of the street and they had a gun range in one of the buildings.
I know, Cenk, but was it the 90s?
Yeah, it was the 90s.
Oh, it was the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, see, facts matter. So anyways, my point is, yes, of course it could get out of hand. And of course you want to avoid the extremes, like 4 people getting shot in your street that year, right? So I get it if you want to take some of these things into account, and you should. But I'm asking you to balance it out. Because if you go to the opposite extreme of living in a bubble, that's not gonna help you either. That's not the right neighborhood either. Find some balance in diversity, and not just diversity in terms of race, but also in so many other factors, pets, non-pets, ideas in diversity, 1,000 things in diversity, so we can all learn from each other instead of getting cloistered into our little caves. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.